Welcome, everybody. My name is Pilar Alderete. I'm working in the Spanish department of the School of Languages, Literatures and Cultures at the NUI Galway, which is in Ireland. These webinars, which is a series of 6, as you know, has been facilitated by the funding of the College of Arts, Social Sciences and Celtic Studies through the Athena Swann program. So I started this because I am one of the engines of the Children in Translation network, to which you've all been added. I send about an email or 2 emails a year, so you don't have to worry about getting a lot of emails from me. And they're normally just relevant information, whether charlas like chats or webinars or lectures or anything that could be workshops that could be relevant to your area of interest. The Children in Translation Network focuses on how children or children products are translated. And it's basically a group of people, and that's why you've been joined in, and you can obviously opt out, of translators, people that are just general public that is interested in the topic, writers, academics, all sorts. So in that spirit, we wanted to have a physical conference, which at the moment cannot happen. So we decided instead to go in this format. But I'm going to start actually with a quote that I just bumped into this week from a book by Jennifer Mita on the scholarship of teaching and learning. And she says that academic conferences are places for teaching and learning, but they're also, like all social sites, a place to practice identity, relations of knowledge and possessions to others present or absent, because we're going to have this available later as well. And she says, I could read a published article, sure, but I also value being close to the people who have an expertise, witnessing the moves their minds make, to see what I can about who they are. I want to hear their voices, to hear when they speak with certainty and when they pause. I go to these things to fill up on ideas. And on that spirit, I wanted that quote to be our beginning, because I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to put you in the frame of mind that we're here to share, to hear all the insights that Noemi Risco has had through her immense practice translating books for Spanish kids, and also to start a dialogue. And that's why there's going to be an open space at the end to chat and to talk with Noemi and to ask her questions that might be things that worry us or that we are concerned about or that we're interested in. You can send your questions to the chat if they occur to you, or you prefer to type them, and Beatriz and myself will write them down and keep them on the side, and then Noemi will get them at the end of the lecture or the webinar if you want. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to let Noemi Risco introduce herself, and it's an honor and a privilege to have you here, as well as everybody else. I'm completely overwhelmed with the response, so thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everybody. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Pilar, and the National University of Ireland for inviting me to these talks about translation, literary translation. So it's a pleasure to be here, and even virtually. So I'm Noemi Risco. As Pilar has said, I'm a literary translator from English, Catalan, and German into Spanish, my mother tongue. And I'm specialized in children and young adult literature. I have already translated almost 80 books, and maybe some of them sound you familiar. One of them is the Maze Runner series, written by the American author James Dashner, or Deep Light, written by the award-winning British author Frances Hardinge. Well, after finishing my studies in translation and interpreting in 2003, I took a master's degree in literary translation, and I was given a grant to attend a translation seminar by the British Centre for Literary Translation at the University of East Anglia in Norwich, England. And the following year, I enrolled in a postgraduate course of narrative writing in Universidad de Barcelona. And later, in 2016, I received a grant from the Arbeitskreis für Jugendliteratur und the Robert Bosch Stiftung to attend a workshop for professional translators who translate German children's literature into their native tongue. That workshop was in Hamburg, Germany. And well, there I have the opportunity to meet publishers, authors, and other professionals of literature. But is it necessary all of that to be a good translator? Pilar, puedes pasar. What do you need to be a good translator? Well, I think a master's degree in literary translation will be useful, and also specific courses on children's books translation are good training. But the most important thing that you must have to do a good job is to have a very good knowledge of the source language, that is the foreign language, in my case, English and German, and a very good knowledge also of the target language, your mother tongue, in my case, Spanish. And well, it is highly recommended to read as many books as possible, especially classics of children's literature, if you want to translate this kind of books. Puedes pasar, Pilar. But however, you learn, this is very important, this sentence, you learn to translate by translating. Another question I am usually asked is, how do you get your first job as a literary translator? Puedes pasar. I read it with a bit of luck and a lot of persistence. Well, I don't know the situation in your country, but here in Spain, it's very hard to enter the publishing world. And well, you usually do it as a freelance. Normally, publishers have their own group of trustworthy translators, and if they are looking for new translators, they will choose an experienced one. So how can you start? Well, again, with a bit of luck and a lot of persistence. You can join an association of translators. I'm in Athena, that is an association especially for literary translators in Spain. You can also propose to a publisher an interesting book to translate, and you must, or you must send your curriculum to all the publishers that work with children and young adult books. Okay, so sometimes the thing is to be in the right place at the right moment. This is the typical sentence you hear. everywhere. And once you get your chance, you will have to pass a test that consists in translating 2 or 3 pages, not more, just 2 or 3. If they give you more, it's not good. If you pass this test, you will have your first commission. And well, what happens then? Be sure to sign a translation contract. This is very important, because there you will have your duties, but also your rights. It is very important to have this clear and in writing, okay, down to on paper. And another thing is how much that your translation cost. It is very important also to negotiate a good fee according to the type of translation. In Spain, translating books for little children, especially from English to Spanish, is very low paid. And that's the reason why I prefer to translate German books for children. Young adult books are another story. So the percentage of royalties are also loud and sometimes non-existent. You are lucky if you have royalties. I'm talking about little books for little children. And I keep on fighting to get higher fees, because translating, this is a good sentence also, translating for kids is not a kid thing. Children literature, Pilar, puedes pasar. These are some examples of books that I have translated. And well, in children's literature, you can find made-up words. For example, in Los Olchis y el Pirata Negro, you have words like, I'm going to say it in Spanish, okay? Mugricaldo. Mugricaldo is special soap made of rubbish. Mugri is the mugriento, is from mugriento, and caldo is this soap, okay? And for example, saposo is an adjective, in a made-up adjective. It has the root sapo, toad. But for example, in English, you cannot say toady, because toady has another meaning in English, very different from sapos. And in this book, you can also find rhymes. For example, well, I think it has a kind of difficulty to adapt this musicality, because it's not the same rhymes in Spanish or in English. I am going to read an example from this book, Los Olchis y el Pirata Negro. It's a song. ¿Quién navega por el ancho mar? ¿Quién va a los tiburones matar? ¿Quién quiere tesoros encontrar? El niño pirata Olchi sin par. Con los duros cartílagos de tiburón cocinamos sopa saposa a montón. Murciélagos y patas de gallina, la vida no puede ser más genuina. Okay, you also have proper names. And we have to see if they are translatable. Normally in children books, proper names are translatable. So For example, in this book, Rodrigo Bandido y Chiquillo su Escudero is a book written by Michael Ende, the author who wrote The Never-Ending Story. And it was finished by Bill and Swann. And sorry, the names, the proper names here, the main character is called in German Nappe. I translated that chiquillo. It could have been, for example, niño or chaval, but I decided to write chiquillo. And the other character is Rodrigo. In German is Rodrigo Rauwein, and I translated Rodrigo Bandido. You also have plays on words. For example, well, I don't have an example of that thing, but you can imagine that you have to use a lot of, well, you have to be very creative and understand real good the sense in the original language. And okay, more things. Local and cultural references, yes. In the last, well, sorry, I have another thing about proper names. I don't know if you know this long series, The Little Vampire, written by Angela Sommer-Bodenburg. But it's a long series that started in the 80s. And well, I have translated the two last ones. And sometimes you can find these proper names, these translatable proper names, but if another translator hadn't translate them, you have to keep them like that. In that case, in German, because everybody knew that characters in German, so I couldn't translate them. Okay. Well, local cultural references. In the last book that I have translated, the main character is constantly talking about British things. And I asked the publisher if they wanted to maintain these references, because for Spanish kids, I think it's very difficult to identify all these references, you know. So in this case, the goal was not to teach British culture, but to have children identify themselves with the kids in the book. So I translate those references as as natural as possible. For example, we have coronation chicken sandwich. Here in Spain, we have no idea of what this coronation chicken sandwiches. So I put sándwich de pollo, chicken sandwich, just like that. Okay. Sometimes we also have to fit text into image. I want to show you some picture here. I don't know if you can see that. Pilar, can you put my, yeah. Thank you. These are words. This is a mess, okay? They are connections between people, and all of these are words in German. And I have, okay, that's it. And I have to fit the words in Spanish in the image. Now I'm translating a nonfiction book for kids. And it's also, the difficult part of it is fitting the text into a certain space. Because English is very, well, English uses short words and short sentences, and we in Spanish use longer sentences and longer words, so it's difficult to do that. As you can imagine. Okay, let's pasar. Young adult fiction. I think, well, I think you all know that. One thing is children's literature, and another thing is young adult fiction. These three books are maybe from 16 years old up. And well, you can also find things that you can find in children's literature. But here, for example, in El Corredor del Laberinto, the Maze Runner series is science fiction. In a closed place. And well, they made up a language, and all these words have an English root. So I had to translate these words into Spanish. For example, I think in South America, in the translation that was published there, they left these words in English, but a Spanish reader isn't going to understand a word. Okay, so okay, Frances Hardinge. In La Luz de las Profundidades, the original title in English was Deep Light. Frances Hardinge create a different reality, a new world, new reality, and there are many new concepts. Sometimes these ideas are described, and sometimes they are not so clear. So where can you find this information? Only in the author's mind. So I had to ask my publisher if he could contact Frances Hardinge in order to ask her about a couple of things. For example, there's a word, fresh. It's like English, but also like German. And I had to translate that into Spanish and create a new word in Spanish, similar to anything in Spanish, but to sum up, to do more or less what he had done. Okay, and the last one is Woman. This is a novel written by Sarah J. Maas. This is a well-known author of books for teenagers. And she wrote that novel based on DC Comics universe. So what have I done as a translator? Well, read comics, the real comics, the original ones, and also I don't know, I had to know very well this DC Comics universe, because in some parts of the book it was essential to know certain information about the characters in order to choose the right words. So I think more or less that will be as well what I do in my day-to-day job. And I hope you have found this talk useful. And remember, don't give up. Ask for a translation contract, negotiate a fair fee, and may the creativity be with you. Thank you all for listening.